Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome to another top 10 list. If you love a top 10 list as much as I love a top 10 list, then I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel by hitting the big button with the word subscribe on it. I reckon this one is going to be popular. It's the top 10 best dive style watches that I think you can buy for $100 US. Now, I made this video about 6 years ago, and I think it's safe to say that the world has changed a little bit since then, as have prices. So I thought it was high time for a remake. I will leave links to all 10 watches in the description of the video in the order that I show them. Use those links as your starting point, but obviously find the best deal that you can. I've got a few criteria today. It's got to be a traditional analog watch. It has to have at least 100 meters of water resistance and a rotating dive time bezel. And make sure you stick around for number 10, a watch I have repeatedly called the best value mechanical watch in the entire world. Let's get on with it. And let's kick things off with an old channel favourite and a watch that I have bought a couple of times over the years. It's the Invicta 1953. These can be picked up readily on Amazon.com around the $100 mark, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less depending on the colour. And they're really nice watches. They have a retro vibe mimicking the pencil hands of the original Rolex Submariner from 1953, oddly enough. The case is well finished, the bracelet is comfortable, and they are powered by the ever faithful Seiko NH35 movement. I think this is the first of 5 or 6 appearances for that movement on this list. It really is ubiquitous at this price point. Overall, the Invicta is a really strong package for $100. It looks good, it wears well, and it's a great size at 40-20, and it's nicely balanced on wrist. The lume isn't amazing, and it's only mineral crystal, but the occasional compromise is almost inevitable at this price point. The Invicta is a really solid choice for $100. Next up, it's the first of a number of AliExpress watches on the list. Now, I could easily have made a top 10 entirely from AliExpress because there is just such value to be had there. This is a Seestern that's a Doxa lookalike, and you can pick them up for $100 and they are amazing for that money. Specifically, these have the same look as the Doxa 600T, and they use the same colours as the Doxa as well. So orange, yellow, silver, black, teal, etc, etc. Some are just under 100, some are just over 100, depending whether you opt for the stainless steel bezel insert or the sapphire bezel insert. Now, they all contain the same Seiko automatic movement, they all have phenomenal build quality, decent lume, 200 meters of water resistance, and a good bracelet and clasp. There are plenty of micro adjust holes on the clasp and some really nice touches like an embossed case back and a loomed date wheel. Again, all of this starting at under $100. No originality, of course. That's the compromise in this particular case, and it's the same for all the other AliExpress watches on today's list, to be honest. So from a watch that maxes out the budget to the cheapest watch on the list today, it's the Casio MRW200H. You can pick up one of these bad boys on Amazon for a little over $20. Plenty on eBay as well in a bunch of different colours, either with numerals or simple circular markers denoting the hours. Now, I have been very careful with my words today, as always. This is a dive style watch, it's not necessarily a dive watch. It only has 100 meters of water resistance, a push-pull crown, and the dive time bezel is friction-based and bi-directional. Now, it's made entirely of resin/plastic, which means it's super light, but it has a very, very different feel on wrist to the Seestern that we just looked at, for example. It is a full-size watch though, at 43mm, it has a date complication, and it's a Casio, which means it'll run forever if you feed it a fresh battery every 3 years that costs less than 50 cents. So cheap to buy and cheap to maintain then. What is not to love? At number 4, we're back on AliExpress. I'll kind of alternate over the course of the video, and it's another Ali classic, the Heimdallr Sharkey SKX lookalike. Now, these have been knocking around for a decade. Indeed, they survived longer than the Seiko did. It got killed off 5 years ago. The Sharkey has the looks of the Seiko, but with a set of specifications that the original watch could only have dreamt of. and a sub $100 price tag. For that you get applied indices, a ceramic bezel insert sapphire crystal, the ubiquitous Seiko NH movement, but this time it's the NH36 with the day and date, and you get a choice of Oyster or Jubilee style bracelets, all with solid end links and a decent clasp. Like I said, specs the original watch simply didn't have. Negatives of this one include once again a lack of originality, and the dubious shark logo on the dial of the watch. But if you can get past that, there is so much watch here for the money. Alright, at number 5, it's a watch and watch brand that has rather fallen out of favour recently due to its country of origin, but it simply had to be on the list today. It is, of course, the Vostok Amphibia, arguably Russia's most iconic timepiece. They have been making these things virtually unchanged in a factory in Western Russia since the 1960s. They are like horological tractors. They are deeply agricultural, but utterly dependable. They're not as cheap as they used to be though, but you can still find them scraping in under today's budget on eBay, so long as you're not fussy about what particular case shape or dial pattern you go for. These feature a proper 200 meters of water resistance and a case design that ensures the watch becomes more water resistant the more water pressure it is subjected to. Compromises here include acrylic crystal, the unsettling wobbly crowns that are actually a design feature, and the loosest set of tolerances of any mechanical movement that I've ever bought, plus or minus 1 whole minute per day, and the current status of its country of origin as an international pariah nation. So not without a few caveats then, but these things are adored by collectors for their quirkiness and their character, as well as their modest price tags. Talking of modest price tags, I should have bought one of these $35 watches years ago, but for some reason I didn't, so today I did. I have the Addiesdive 1953 on its way to me as I speak. This is a super basic entry-level Rolex Submariner lookalike with a stainless steel case and bracelet, a Cyclops over the date complication, 200 meters of water resistance and a bit of lume on the dial and the hands, but with mineral crystal covering the dial and a basic quartz movement to keep the costs right down. I have received so many emails over the years from people recommending these as the perfect starter watches to give a teenager who is a bit rough and tumble and who is just beginning to wear a watch. There are dozens and dozens of this style of watch on the market, but this has to be one of the cheapest. Like I said, I finally have one en route. I'll let you know what it's like when it arrives. Alright, let's keep things rolling at number 7 with an affordable classic dive watch. A watch that had to be here, and if you have a big wrist or you just like a big watch, probably the number one choice for you on today's top 10. The Casio Duro /MDV106/MDV107/Marlin, depending on which of the versions you're able to purchase. For the princely sum of no more than $60 US. Occasionally you can find these for a little bit less than 50 as well if you buy one on sale. And check how good looking this watch is. It's a super clean and legible design, great contrast, everything is really easy to read. And again, it's virtually maintenance free with its quartz movement. And do you notice how the second hand hits every single one of the markers? That is quite amazing for a budget diver like this, and every Duro that I've had has been exactly the same. The case is well machined and comfortable, the bezel action is precise, the crown screws down, meaning this one has proper chops for snorkeling or basic saturation diving. But it's a big boy. It's 44mm in diameter with a long lug to lug and 22mm lug width. Like I said, this one suits people who have a big wrist or just like a big watch on their small wrist. Alright, I'm going to chuck you a curveball at number 8. You know the Swatch Thrifty Fathoms, the brightly coloured bioceramic lightweight Blancpain lookalike from their parent company that's $400 US. Well, I'm not going to suggest that one, obviously, but I am going to suggest you look at a lookalike made by Cadisen instead. It's not made of lightweight bioceramic and it does not have an unserviceable throwaway movement in it. It is, however, made of coated stainless steel and features, you've guessed it, a Seiko NH35. It also has 100 meters of water resistance, a screw down crown, both of which are perfectly acceptable, as is the bezel action. In fact, the whole thing is surprisingly nice for less than $75 in one of 3 colours. Again, zero originality, and it's only mineral crystal matching the mineral bezel insert, but this may just be a cut price lookalike that's better than the watch upon which it is based. At number 9, it's the last of the big brand offerings, and I suppose the most viable alternative to the Casio Duro if for some reason that one doesn't take your fancy. It's the Timex Allied Coastline, and if you're not fussy about which version you end up with, you can pick these up on eBay for less than $60 US. Again, like the Duro you see next to it, it's a full-size watch at 43mm. This one has 100 meters of water resistance, a dive time bezel, and a distinctive handset, shall we say, plus a super comfortable silicone band in 20mm rather than the Duro's 22. And if after dark performance is important to you, the Timex has one trick up its sleeve that none of the watches on the list today can match, that being Indiglow, electroluminescent lighting across the entire dial. Just push the crown in and Bob's your uncle, without a doubt the most outstanding nighttime performance you'll see here today, with a well-known brand name on the dial, all well within budget too. Finally then, at number 10, it's a watch that I have long claimed to be the best value mechanical timepiece on earth. And even if you are paying additional import taxes on one of these days, I still think that applies. It's the Steeldive 1970 Willard Homage. Now, I reckon most of you will have already bought one of these, but if for some reason you haven't, you really should. They are phenomenal. They are so nicely made, they have all the right specs, including sapphire, ceramic, screw-down crown, stainless case and bracelet, and a good clasp on a classic case shape that's big and has some weight to it, but it's really comfortable. It wears smaller than you think, and unlike most divers at this price point, the lume is actually worth having. Honestly, you put this on your wrist and you wonder why anyone, including yourself, I've thought this many times, would spend any more money on any other watch. You can still buy these around the $60 mark, and I am yet to find anything better for that money. Now, I did call it a lookalike, and indeed it's a lookalike of a discontinued Seiko from the late 60s, early 70s. So I think there's a different psychology than buying a lookalike of a current model luxury Swiss watch, for example. My black one is a permanent part of my 10-piece AliExpress sub-collection, and frankly, it's a permanent part of my master collection as well. So there you have it. Not a huge amount has changed in the last 6 years since I made this video, but the prices have gone up a little bit across the board. If you shop around though, you can still get some affordable dive style nuggets from as little as $22, as you saw. I reckon everyone should have at least one dive watch in their collection, and this list proves that it doesn't need to cost you a fortune. Well done for making it right to the end of the video. Why not treat yourself by watching another video on either the Duro or the Steeldive. Thanks for watching this one. I will see you again in the next one.